it's Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media. We are now going to talk about one of our afternoon sessions here at Breakbulk Europe, the global energy transition. And I have Martyn Lawns with me from DHL. Welcome.
Thank you, Leslie. Thanks.
How was that session?
It was interesting. I think it was a good mix of participants, at least from a panel perspective. So, it was an interesting discussion. I think from a DHL perspective, one of the key themes, Leslie, was really to discuss the risk that everyone sees in the supply chain, and not only the risk that we're facing today, but what we've come through in the last 24 months in terms
quite
of
a
the
bit.
pandemic. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So when you look forward, say from today, next 6 months, next year, what are you seeing? Are you seeing any of these challenges, be reduced or
probably
getting worse?
From where we sit, and my key message to our customers from the panel today was really to start to look at your supply chain decisions and start to anticipate the risks and what we can control. And my advice from a customer perspective is really get involved early in the planning process, because I think logistics, there's been a complacency in the market that where people have got caught out is that logistics is always the last thing they think of. And for me personally now, my message to the clients are, put logistics first, because I think for what we're seeing is that's really making some different decisions in the planning process to assume that the logistics industry can always be there to support. Capacity is just not going to be there.
Absolutely. Now, when we look at the global energy transition, what kind of impact is that going to have on the kinds or volumes of project cargoes that you see moving?
Yeah, well, it's the perfect storm. I mean, at this moment in time, we've already got capacity constraints. The renewables industry as a sector is continuing to see double-digit growth, both onshore and now in the more mature markets, that production moving offshore to larger wind turbines, and that's going to mean ultimately larger pieces being transported for those that can't be manufactured close to the project, competing now with new upstream oil and gas projects being approved, as unfortunate with the events unfolding in the Ukraine, and countries then looking at alternative sources from Russia, and then that's ultimately pushing higher production and more projects into the market, and that, as I say, those projects are now competing with space for the renewables and other sectors.
Absolutely. So do you think, as far as oil and gas goes, that the conflict has accelerated a transition to renewables, or has it suddenly given extra momentum, if you will, to oil and gas exploration?
I think it's certainly going to, or we're seeing it's, anyone that was about to sign a renewables project as a developer, that process continuing to happen at pace. And I think, from I would say traditional perspective, then yes, ultimately those projects that were maybe less attractive now becoming more attractive as an investment opportunity. But again, it's difficult to tell. But again, my message to our customers and from a panel today, everyone was saying that we need that collaboration, Leslie. I mean, we're in the fortunate position that we've got such a global organization that we can start to pool cargo and bring that together and consolidate. And I think we're going to see more of that as the market develops.
Oh, that's interesting. All right. So on balance, how would you describe your outlook for project cargo?
I mean, certainly we're seeing exponential growth, as I say, in renewables. I mean, from a DHL perspective, we've continued to invest in bringing on the best talent and growing our own talent throughout the pandemic. So we're gearing up to see that trend continue, and we've certainly got aspirations to continue to grow with the demand, which we see is growing. And I think from our perspective, again, one of the testimonies to our organization is the global nature of it. So I mean, customers are looking to DHL to then manage the risk from the origin of the cargo, but also manage the risk at the project destination. And when it wasn't possible to fly people around, we were using the staff locally, and that in itself has allowed us to make sure that we've actually transferred some of those competencies and ensure that we've got the right people in the right places to support our customers.
That's great. That's great. So I have one last question for you. We haven't been together for a long, long time.
Yeah.
We have thousands of people here today.
Yeah.
How is it for you being back at Breakbulk Europe?
Absolutely fantastic, Leslie. First time in Rotterdam at Breakbulk, and I think the team have done an absolute awesome job. I mean, from our perspective, we've made the most of it. We've had team meetings outside, we've had customer meetings obviously around the event, and you just see a buzz. You know, people are so energized by seeing each other that yes, they're used to doing Teams calls, Zoom calls, but you can't replace that face-to-face and that contact, and you can solve a lot of problems face-to-face that it takes a little bit longer by email and by Teams calls.
Absolutely. Well, we're so delighted that you're here.
Thank
and
you.
hope that you have a successful rest of show.
Thank you, Leslie.